Hello, welcome to another episode of Puck Dynasty, part of the Fantasy Hockey Hacks crew. I'm here tonight, Sunday, October 20th, with my buddy Debert. How you doing, pal?
Doing great. It's been a fun
great.
couple weeks. The season.
Yeah, why don't you tell our listeners what you got going on the next little while? How many games are you taking in?
Oh, I'm going on a little road trip with my dog. We're gonna head down to Denver. And so we're gonna go see, well, first we're going to see Teuvo in Billings, which I'm super stoked about. And then we're going to go see DU play, and your boy, Zeev Buyam, play in Wisconsin. And then I have tickets for two Avs games. I got the Sens, and then the Blackhawks are in town for the Sunday, Monday of next week. Then I'm going to scoot over to Cali and nothing, obviously, San Diego. Maybe go catch a San Diego Gulls game or something. Maybe go see Cutter Gauthier play some AHL hockey or something like that.
All you Flyers fans out there.
And then I'm going to try to catch a Ducks game and a Sharks game. So I think the only Sharks game I can catch is Red Wings in town, which is actually not bad.
That's a great matchup, man.
And
hopefully Celebration will be back by then, hey? When are you down there?
It's gotta be. That's like a month away, yeah. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. That Ducks game will be fun, man. That was a good game last night, hey?
Oh, I know, hey?
Was that last night?
2 nights ago.
2 nights
ago. Did you see that save by Dostal and Rantanen in overtime?
Save?
Yeah. So yeah, Ducks got a fun team. They're playing some river hockey and just trying to be entertaining. And the thing with Dostal is like he sees a lot of rubber. He makes a lot of saves, but he loses those games like 4-3, 5-4.
Yeah, I remember that toe save was like vintage Dostal because like he was kind of scrambling. Like it shouldn't have been that hard to save, but man, what a save that was. That was ridiculous and all for nothing, unfortunately. But wasn't I telling you, man, those Ducks are fun to watch this year.
And that white kit, I like that white kit.
I like them both. I love the orange too. I'm a big orange guy, but I love the white and orange kit. Like it's
funny. Last year, I remember asking you, like, did the Oilers ever do orange pants with their uniforms? No. And we tried to look it up, and they haven't. And then lo and behold, Ducks are doing orange pants this year with the full orange. But
dude,
I'm glad great. They went fun colors and get a little more. They just need a purple third, and we're good to go.
I wouldn't mind if they just did a straight throwback to the original jerseys. They still sell them like crazy. Get the duck on there doing the superhero pose. It's a great color combo, that purple and green.
I think that was their reverse retro last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something pretty darn close to that. Yeah, it was one of the better reverse retros for sure. Anyways, so you and I will be doing some hits from the road. We'll try and do some eps maybe. Well, we'll see how you're feeling after those games. But if we can record, especially after you go to a college game, I'd love to chat with you after that.
Oh, I know. Especially the DU game. And it was funny. The DU game was double the price of the Avalanche game.
No kidding.
Yeah, even the Hawks in town on a Saturday. Oh, no, that's on a Monday night. But,
wild.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, speaking of the Hawks, let's dive right into some NHL stuff. I guess not necessarily speaking of the Hawks, but Teuvo Teravainen's looking pretty good right off the hop, hey?
I had a feeling that would work. I think he's kind of the perfect complementary guy with Bedard. Not even complementary guy, like just the perfect 1-2 punch for those two feeding off each other.
Well, and I think a big part of his problem in Carolina was they're such a defensive team, and that's just not his game. Put him on a squad like Chicago where he has something to work with and where he's not going to lose ice because he's not as good at defending. And like we've seen, 3 goals, 4 assists in 6 games. Nothing wrong with that. Seems to me like Bedard's probably got his winger for a couple of years here anyways. So that's nice. Was he have 2 years left on that contract?
After wasn't it? Did he sign a new deal with them? Or was he traded? No.
No, he did. That's right. Yeah, it was a 2-year,
3-year, 5 something.
Let's see. Let's bring that up because it is good to know. 3 years. Yep. So I was fortunate enough to snag him in one of my leagues already. I'm trying to sell him in a league that I'm tanking in, but I got no issues grabbing and holding Teravainen for a year or two. Hey,
Well, yeah, the thing with this year is the plus minus might hurt a tad, but they're just going to get incrementally better. And if he just becomes a running mate with Conor, then yeah, it's gonna work because they're both super skilled, headsy players, good playmakers, and so get them a sniper. Which is funny, it's not Bedard the sniper quite yet; it's a Bedard the playmaker. But
oh,
it's
I don't know. He snapped a couple already too. That one
I think
against
he's only
Edmonton
got
was
one. He's got that
beautiful.
one. I'm sure you've seen the highlight against the Oilers a few times, so that's why you think
Yeah,
he
it
has
was
more than
live.
one.
That was
But
beautiful. Vintage
yeah, it was
Bedard.
a great
Uh,
shot.
for what it's worth, he's even right now too. So
Oh, nice.
plus minus ain't too bad.
Yeah.
A couple other kind of pro guys we wanted to talk about. Sam Reinhart is bucking the regression trend so far in a huge, huge way. A lot of people had Reinhart pegged to regress like crazy, with no Kachuk in the lineup, with no Barkov in the lineup. He is off to a 5 goal, 7 assist start. He's +5 in 7 games.
That's
Uh,
wild.
he just is looking like better and better every single game. And you wonder if maybe he doesn't do even better this year than last year.
57 goals is tough to tops, maybe points wise, but I
Yeah, I'm
remember
talking
last
points
year.
wise.
I remember last year that he changed his stick, and that was he gave a lot of credit for his goal scoring with his new release. Uh, so maybe it's just something as simple as that. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's pretty
and getting
wild.
out of Buffalo too, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, before last year's 94-point outburst, his high was 82 points. And even with where he'd only done 67. I agree. He's not scoring 57 goals again this year, but I think the
money.
94 points might be beatable. That Florida's just such a wagon. There's no better case in the league than Florida for fixing the tax bracket and the cap. Like they got Forsling signed to that crazy contract. They got Lundell, who is like the next guy I wanted to talk about, but his deal is, what is it, 5 mil a year? Like
Yeah. Well,
forever,
all
and the
those
guy,
all
they
those
finally
teams.
got him some ice due to injuries. He's point per game, 4 goals, 4 assists in 7 games. Who's another great contract on that team? They just signed Verhaeghe to a sweetheart deal. Spencer Knight, if he ever comes around, that's going to be a nice deal. But like this team is just loaded with talent and loaded with cheap contracts. I was chatting with some folks. I think it was in our chat actually the other day. Do you think that when Bennett's deal is up at the end of this year, that they re-sign him, or are they actually going to give Lundell the ice that he deserves on a regular basis?
Hmm.
Here's what I
I
thought.
don't
I'll
know.
let you think about it for a second since I popped this on you. I say sign him. Do not give him a no trade, but sign him to one of those sweetheart Florida contracts. Play him for another year, maybe 2, and then you trade him. Because why let anyone walk for free when you can sign him for 75% of value? Assuming you can get the deal done with no trade protection.
Yeah, I think that's what comes with that lower cap hit because it leaves the player fairly vulnerable if they do trade him to a different tax state. Um, so
All right, so
I don't
let's
know,
say
especially as a
it.
UFA.
Let's say it's a no trade or there's no sweetheart deal. Do you keep Bennett if you're Florida?
I'd have to take a closer look at their cap situation moving forward.
I mean,
The nice thing about Bennett is he doesn't have to play center, and he can be he's a top 9 guy, so he could play anywhere in that lineup. So
oh, absolutely. I mean, top 9 at the very least. I mean, last year he's always good for 40, 50 points. Well, at least in Florida he
what
is.
what I mean by that is that he can play first line, second. He can play any role
Yeah.
on a team.
Yeah, he's a utility device for sure. 7
And
points and 7
defense, just a total
snarl. Tons of
piece of shit.
snarl.
Like that sucker punch on Marchand, like he just knows how to do it. And I don't love that he said that he got upset that people said he did that intentionally. Like, come on, you've done that twice now. And
I don't.
don't come and
You
try
know,
and tell me that you didn't do that on
to be
purpose.
fair,
You punched him right in the chin.
I don't like Sam Bennett, but I don't think you can walk around saying you did it on purpose and keep getting away with it. I'd be saying the same thing in that circumstance.
Oh well, yeah, fair enough. But I can still call bullshit on his bullshit.
For sure. That's fair. That's fair. Next up, yeah, how about Nikita Kucherov so far this year, hey?
Amazing, and he keeps getting better. Like this guy put up 150 points last year. Like before McDavid did it, 2 years ago was it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago? Yeah, whenever he put up a 150, if you would have said anyone put up 150, your jaw would have dropped. And so just because McDavid broke that threshold but yeah, what he did last year is just
Hold on now. He didn't hit 150. He did 144.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Wait, unreal season. Him and McDavid were the two first guys to get 100 assists since like Gretzky or something stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's just how quickly scoring has expanded and how much fun it is to see these 140, 144 point seasons.
Well, he's doing it again this year. He's 7 goals, 2 assists in 4 games. To be fair, 2 of those goals were empty netters on opening night, but whatever.
That's true.
Yeah,
True.
He's a empty net merchant. I'd like to talk a little. Well, I guess the last kind of long-term NHL we wanted to talk about was Gino. They can't hear you if you nod.
Yeah, Gino. I picked him up in an auction draft, I think for $1 or $2.
You don't have to reference that auction, man. That was such madness.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. I'm happy for the guy,
The guy or the guy yourself?
The guy being me, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I figured, yeah.
Especially because we played opening week.
Third for scoring, 11 points. I mean, you selling on Gino if you can right now?
I don't know. I think he's going to score in bunches, like Pittsburgh will this year. But you might see a resurgence. It's still there, obviously. So who knows? Who knows? He could keep something up where he's close to a point per game this year.
I mean, I'm not trying to buy him from you, but yeah. I mean, to be fair, 2 years ago he was point per game. The year before he was point per game. Last year he had a bit of a down year by his own standards, but he's already -5 in 7 games, even with the 11 points. Wild. Pittsburgh is so bad right now, man. Like that goaltending. The only team that looks at Pittsburgh and their goaltending situation enviably is Colorado.
Well, I think the saving grace for Colorado is that Georgiev's up after this year, so we can start fresh. But
you think he's gone?
Georgiev?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you.
Did you see that Arizona State field goal kicker that missed like 2 easy field goals on the weekend?
No.
Anyways, so what the coach did in the post-game press conference says, anyone that goes to ASU, we're having kicking tryouts on Monday. Anyone that comes. He's like, I'm dead serious. We're having kicking tryouts. Like, that's how an Avalanche fan feels right now. It's like, anyone that wants to come and play professional, we're having goaltending tryouts for the Colorado Avalanche right now.
Well, to be fair, as we speak, Annunen is putting up a bit of a game. He's got 23 saves on 24 shots against San Jose, but San Jose's got some weapons. Mind you, Celebrini isn't playing, but maybe they'll turn
a tough one.
Let me ask you this. As someone who's competing in a league and has it's ugly for this team right now, man. I'm doing well thanks to my skaters, but my goaltending is Saros and Georgiev. Is he gonna come anywhere close to last year, which already wasn't a good year for him? But like, when do you cut ties with that goalie? assuming that you paid something for him, and my sorry ass paid Jet Lachenko for him.
Well, like a major problem with the Avalanche right now is we are missing 4 of our top 6 wingers in the lineup. And so
4? Lehkonen? Oh, I guess Landeskog if you're counting them. Nuke and
Drouin.
Oh yeah, Druin's out too. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you guys
Yeah.
aren't the Avalanche that they.
How many top 6 wingers are on a hockey team?
It depends on the team, doesn't it? I think that in the tax-free states they get 7. I'm pretty sure.
So Colorado's running with 3. Well, what's his face? Ross Colton's put up 2 goals tonight, but yeah, Georgiev probably statistically last year that league didn't have wins in it, so the wins didn't really matter much. But and he had a better year. He's just having a bad start, but he had a bad finish to last year, so it's just kind of like, I don't know. He is what he is. He is what we thought he was. He was a backup goalie, and so trying to be thrusted into a starting role, and it's never really worked.
Well, that's not true. His first year with you guys, he did in 920. So that was, and wasn't that? No, that was the year after you won the cup. But he similar to Talbot in Edmonton, right? Where came in, had a great year. To be fair, he had twins in year 2, but just fell off the rails. Those backups who go on to become who get thrust into number 1 positions often do have that good first year because they're proving it and happen to be there, but they just don't have the game to be that all the time. And speaking of Talbot, Alex Lyon has snuck in and taken the number 1 job from Talbot, albeit after we're on game 5. But Lyon has been sensational so far. I was fortunate enough to just pick him up off waivers in one league. But to start, he was their number 1 to end last year.
Mm-hmm.
Put up a 904, 305 goals against on a terrible Detroit team. 3 games so far this year. He's doing a 938 with a 2.06 goals against. So in those leagues where you can stream or goalies maybe are a little easier to come by, I got lots of time for Lyon this year because it's him and Talbot right now, and I don't love Talbot.
Well, and he's shown that he can, when the pressure's on, he can put a team on his back per se.
Yeah. He was really good last year until I think it was the last 5 games. The wheels kind of fell off. I remember watching those very closely, hoping Detroit was going to sneak in, but that's that. And looks like Sean Durzi is out for 4 to 6 months in Utah, they're saying.
Is it that long?
Yeah, it's a long one, man. They said they hope he comes back this year. So
what did he hurt?
Arm? What was it? Arm? Collarbone?
Arm bone?
Armor
hand bone.
It looks like it was 4 to 6 months. Where is it? Yeah, just upper left shoulder. Yeah. So it must have been dislocation or something.
Torn labrum.
Yeah. So Kesselring came in on the top pair, scored the game-winning goal last night in overtime.
Goal last night.
So it kind of sucks because I was looking at, I had him as a third piece in trade talks going into the night, and this morning the guy wants more. Go figure.
Yeah, I guess Sergachev would be their top guy, of course. I think he was already, and then
he already was.
They just need to get. Too bad they couldn't get Silyaev over there. He could put up some major points.
Simashev?
Or Simashev, I mean, yeah.
Your guy. You're gonna do this? Don't make me talk about Sam Renzel because he's crushing it so far.
I get random texts of in 2 games into college
3
season, Renzel has 3 points,
2 goals,
2 games.
Okay, but to be fair, you're not reading this text I'm sending. See, this is you skimming again. You're too busy watching your Trump videos. He had 2 goals all of last year, and he has 2 goals in the first 3 games. That's what I was pointing at. Valimaki seems to be holding down PP2 in Utah right now. But big minutes for Kesselring. Not a big bash guy, so it doesn't really... Minutes don't equate into points. But anyways, there's an opportunity there. Let's talk rookies. This is what we're here for. We're here to talk about rookies. who you want to start with, Debert? I don't even know if you're looking at the notes, but where do you want to kick us off here? Because we got some exciting guys who you and I have been talking about these guys for a year and a half on this show for sure. 2 to 3 to 4 years we've been talking about these players in our own just kind of conversations and whatnot, and we're starting to see the returns.
Mm-hmm.
Who you want to go with first, man?
Well, Stankoven so far. And guys all over the place. Showing great playmaking skills, bulldog, and he's just in the perfect situation in Dallas. If they could put him on any line, it works. And yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Logan Stankoven so far.
I'd like to see a goal, but yeah, he's so good. Like I've watched 3 Dallas games now. Somehow the Oilers not being one of them. He's like the best player on the line most of the time. I'll tell you what, he'd have more points if it weren't for Jamie Benn right now. Jamie Benn is a black hole of offense. I don't know why they have him on the power play, but yeah, Stankoven has been amazing. He's got 8 assists in 7 games or 7 assists in 6 games.
Yeah, I think he's deferring a bit still too, being the rookie. Like once he pots a couple goals and you're like, okay. But yeah, we're looking at a 40-40 guy probably, or 30-50, something.
I'd say I'd lean more towards like 30-60 is kind of my thoughts with him. There's nothing he can't do. Can't do. At this point, it's just a matter of working his way up to top line ice. Eventually, who knows when that'll be. But yeah, he's been amazing. You know who else has been really good and somewhat controversial? Lane Hutson. How much of Lane have you watched so far?
I've got a few Habs games. Unfortunately, I got slammed with work, so I missed a whole week of hockey. But I followed it, and everyone's loving the only thing that's missing is getting on that power play one, and there's no turning back, right? Like he had that game last week where he played over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
As a rookie, and he had the puck for over 4 minutes. It was like the 5th highest of any player last year. And those players were Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar.
Yeah.
I forget who the other guys were, but yeah, but it's almost like you got to slow it down a bit, Marty. Like it's almost too much too soon with the kid, but it's all there.
I've watched 4 Habs games so far. I would say Lane Hutson more often than not is the best player on the ice when he's on the ice. He creates the most. They're gonna figure him out a bit. The interesting thing I thought was who was it? They were playing against Pittsburgh. Yeah, and Letang said they had notes for him in the pregame package for the players for Pittsburgh before the game. So he's already getting scouted. They're already telling him what to watch for. I think there'll be a phase here where they figure out kind of the gap to give him. He's not a big shot, so I think you can give him a little bit more room, and then his dekes and doodles don't do quite as much. But he's a smart enough player that he'll figure out how to punish teams for that too. So I think there'll be some push and pull. Personally, I'd have no problem with them putting on PP1 right now. I am admittedly a bit of a whore for rookies, but I like to see, he's better than Matheson right now. He's better than Matheson, and he can create by himself. So when the power play isn't moving like they should, you can just give the puck to Lane and make something happen, whereas Matheson's not that player. So I'd love to see Hutson sort of get the reins taken off of him, but I understand it. Slow play him. The other thing is I think that Montreal would be really smart to keep Matheson on PP1 for 40 games until they're sort of trending towards being eliminated, and then they're okay to trade him while he's been getting good ice and, putting up good numbers. And then you give Hutson the reins by game 50 or 60.
Yeah, that couldn't hurt. Matheson's a great power play player, too. He's a fantastic skater. And, and it's showing that power play will be a force to be reckoned with.
Well, and you see
It
the call up
already
Logan
is.
Mailloux yesterday, and he scored 2.
Yeah.
Like, and he had
It
I think
already
a 4
is,
point game.
and they don't even have arguably their two best offensive weapons that the power play will have in 3 years on it. So,
Which are
Hudson and Demidov.
on PP1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Demidov's not getting the minutes he should be getting. And
How about that logic? Did you read up on their SKA coach Rottenberg or whatever his name is, logic on Demidov's ice time?
I've read a lot of what he said.
This is new.
Which quote specific? I mean, he's been in the news a lot if you follow enough Twitter hockey. But which quote are you referring to?
So he's basically saying that he's smart, that he's saving him for the right moment, and when he scores, when he's given like 3 shifts, it's because he's been prepared for that.
Oh
moment.
yeah,
Three shifts. I'm just you are the most either you are the most delusional person in the world, or you think everyone else is an idiot. It's one of the two things. But he's just just ugly situation in Montreal. Like Elliot said, they're going to visit him. Rumor has it they've wanted him to sign contract, and he doesn't want to sign an extension.
he's turned down extensions. Yeah.
So they're just saying, well, to hell with you. And Russian prospects, why the hell would you want to go through the K? Like, you'll see them coming over, maybe doing a year in the CHL and then a year in the NCAA, starting next year when all that opens up too. So that's yeah,
that'll be interesting. One other
Actually,
Russian
even-
guy, just for anyone peeking around, who I am really hyped about is Yegor Zavragin. Oh, he's a Philadelphia pick, plays in SKA St. Petersburg. This guy, when I type Y into my phone, it goes straight to his IMDb page. he's the hottest visit on my phone. Kid's amazing, man. So he in the VHL last year put up a 943. MHL also last year put up a 945. In 10 games so far this year, he had 941 in his first 6 games. He's got a 910 in his next 4. I've been watching a lot of him on Twitter as much as I can find. Kid is a stud. He's I think there's 2 goalies who we're going to see move into that conversation of top 4 or 5 goalies. For a long time, you and I and everyone has been talking about Wolf, Levi, Askarov, and Wallstead. I think you're going to see Zavragin enter the conversation around the 5 to 8 mark, and I think you're going to see Murashev in Pittsburgh also enter that conversation. And then one more guy who I'd be remiss not to mention, even though I traded him last week, is Artur Akhtamov, Leafs prospect. First, what?
Oh, you follow goalies way more than I do. Like,
I do.
None of these guys are on my radar. Period.
I know. Well,
So
they
I'm just
should.
listening.
They should be. They
Yeah,
should
I'm
be.
learning.
And here's why:
I'm learning.
Artur Akhtamov stopped 17 of 17 in his 3rd game in the AHL. He's 3-0 with a 964 save percentage his first 3 games in the AHL.
Look at that.
So, anyone out there in those dynasty leagues, look
is that
for these
Marlies?
guys. Look for them, claim them, sign them, put them on your rosters, because I think that certainly one of those 3 goalies is going to be big, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's more. And the nice thing about all 3 of those guys, you're talking about Pittsburgh, you're talking about Philly, and you're talking about Toronto. These are 3 squads that all need the number 1 goalie. So
it's just so hard with goalies, especially if they're coming from the K. But you're looking at, okay, they're going to finish this year, then they're going to do a year, maybe 2 years in the A, and then they're going to back up, and just like, it's so hard to plan it out. Yeah, I hear you. It's good insight, though.
well, I mean, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
Really,
Wow,
I think
goalies
that
are so tough. Right?
spotting guys a year or 2 away. I've often said that the reason I have success in dynasty leagues is for the guys who are 2 to 3 years away. You know, I was looking recently. I looked back at trades from 2 years ago. I I had signed Jackson Blake that year. Good for me. Great signing. I traded him to free up 3 roster spots. So I traded him and 3 other guys to a tanking team just to clear roster spots to claim some other guys. But now the guy, I sent a message to the guy. I'm like, I would just like to remind you that 2 years ago I gave you Jackson Blake for nothing, like nothing. So if you can spot these guys coming 2-3 years away, it's a big advantage over the course of a 5 to 10 to 15 year league, like our main one is for sure. Michkov, 2-2 in 5 games. His best game being against my Edmonton Oilers. One of those goals shouldn't have counted, but I'm fine that it did because we won the game and it was fun to watch him score. This guy, best player on the ice almost every time he steps on the ice.
Yeah.
Philly is woefully under-equipped to surround him with the talent he needs. He should probably have 8 points already. In the opening game where he was held scoreless, he created the 3, if not 4 best scoring chances. In the Philly game, or in the Edmonton game, he probably should have had 3 or 4 points as well. He makes crazy plays off the boards. Like that's the part of his game I didn't see coming. So he had the beautiful one-timer goal in our game. He had the goal coming up from behind the net, stuffed it in. Those are parts of Michkov's game I hoped would carry over, but wasn't going to surprise me. The plays he makes from the boards with his back to the middle of the ice are insane. Like, he sets up chance after chance when it should be a dead puck.
Yeah, the thing that, like, it doesn't surprise me. Like, it's a pleasant, I guess you could say pleasant surprise, but I kind of was hoping it would translate, was that how fast he makes the right pass to the wide open guy. It's like this clairvoyance or something. He just knows what's coming up around the bend. And so, yeah, the ability to make those plays, and once he gets I think it's probably an offensive-minded center that he's missing right now, and then get the chemistry with one of the goal-scoring wingers that they have there, and watch out. It's when they said we were looking at like the next Kucherov, I'm starting to really see it.
Yeah. He might be more of a playmaker than Kucherov, though. Like, but
Kucherov can do it. He might just be like Kucherov, where it could be like, okay, I'm going to score tonight, or I'm going to get 5 assists, or
that's what I'd like to see more of from Michkov. Actually, is I'd like to see more. I'm going to score tonight, because right now he's quick to get rid of the puck, and he makes the right move with it. But like, I'd like to see him call his own shot a little bit more. I'd like to see that 30-40 goal potential. Because he looks like a 100-point player right now, but right now I'd say it's a 30-70 split.
Yeah, I think his playing in the K last year and the confidence he get, and like just this convergence of time when his confidence hits with his skill level and his experience in Philly, it's gonna be magic, and he'll just start trying things and just be like, oh shit, it works. And so yeah, it's gonna be nice. Hopefully, like, I hope that they finally are like, they can like bad this year and can kind of get that top pick, that one of those top forwards in this draft. And we were talking the other day how there's so many players that would be such a great match for them there, and it would just be so good for the league to have that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Roger McQueen that makes me think Philly, but that just seems like such a natural fit. Man, Michkov had a 6'5" center with him. Look out. The amount of space those two would create, like, they could just hold the puck behind the net for 20 minutes a night.
Yeah, he'd be nice. Misa would be nice because it would give him some wheels up the middle there too. Hagens, of course, would be nice. Even Mortone would be great.
Yeah, lots of good guys. And speaking of good guys, one last rookie we'd like to talk about. You know who
Start picking up picks if you're tanking. Start picking up picks that are looking to be top 10 picks in this draft.
Yeah, the top 8, man. The top 8 is looking insane. Very good starts for lots of those guys in the top 8 too. Yeah, Martone has 20 points in 9 games already. And then Celebrini opening night. Now this was obviously what, two and a half weeks ago. Did you watch? I'm sure you watched that game.
I think it was just a week and a half. But yeah, I watched that game. That was awesome. I thought that opening assist or goal, I mean, that he was trying for the pass. Like, what creativity for like your second shift in the NHL and try to make that play and basically almost pulled it off. And he did pull it off, went in the net. Then that pass to Foley, eyes in the back of your head type of play. I don't know. He's such a great player. He's so smooth. Yeah, no, he's got it all. I think.
Did you see? The Golden State Warrior who always gets suspended.
Oh, Draymond.
Hey,
Draymond.
Yeah, Draymond was in the box tweeting about him.
Yeah,
pretty awesome. Yeah, that was a crazy opening game. 2 points in the first period, I think, is what he had. Yeah, he definitely did. Looked very dangerous in that Matthews sort of power play area. Kid's lights out. He was winning faceoffs. Like I'm not sure what his faceoff percentage ended the day at, but he was very good. Shame that we haven't been able to see more of him. But we will.
I've said it to you a few times, and you've agreed. It's like I see a lot of Sid in him.
Yeah,
obviously not the same kind of hype pedigree coming up, but the way he plays the game is very Sid-like.
Yep. I think he's probably a better shooter than Sid was when he came in the league. Like I don't remember Sid ripping one-timers. Like, remember the one he scored in preseason where it was like the camera didn't even catch up to him. It was in the back of the net. I don't remember Sid doing a lot of that, but his two-way game is very Sid-like. I don't think his possession game is what Sid's is, but I think they have very similar brains.
Yeah. And staying on San Jose, was just watching the Avs game tonight and a couple other ones. William Eklund,
amazing.
Better. Yeah, getting way like he was good. And he's getting better and better. He's going to be great. Will Smith, not so much, but if remember last year,
slow start.
I wasn't high on him to begin the college season, so we'll give him some grace and some time here. But William Eklund. Pick him up. Yeah,
I bought hard on Eklund mid-season last year. I think I picked him up in 2 leagues, and I'm not moving him. I'm not moving him until he hits 80 or 90, and then I'll move him. But right now, he looks
he's the
great.
only. Is it right wing? He's the only right wing on. I think it's right wing. Maybe he's whatever wing he plays. He's the only one in their system that's really too much outside of. I think Zetterlund is the other.
Well, and really, it doesn't matter. There could be 15 guys behind him. I think he's good enough to hold top wing for a while. Like, he's a very, very good player. We talked about goalies. All right, let's hop into some last kind of NHL things. Rough start for, I guess, you want to do some therapy? You want to do some Avs Oilers therapy?
I think you need the therapy more than I do. Like,
what?
Well, it's just I get the Avs. There's injuries, there's suspensions. We got shitty goaltending.
All right, fine.
We recently won a cup. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the Oilers' record. I want to talk about Holloway and Broberg.
There's that, but the Oilers have some major issues. Their power play is like 1 for whatever.
15.
Yeah, their penalty kill is 55%. What the hell, man? Like, you guys stopped, like 34 penalty kills in a row last year in the playoffs?
It's pretty obvious
what's going historically on with that team, the best power play ever. Like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. The team doesn't know how to hit reset after last year. It's fairly obvious. The first 3 games, I think we've probably turned the corner now and we'll start to improve. The first 3 games, we had 0 give a shit. We had 0 battle. And about halfway through the opening game against Winnipeg, which we lost 6-0, it was pretty clear that it was like, how do you go from a Game 7 Stanley Cup letdown to 82 game season, you know, and it was, I think it's just been a learning curve for that team. And then to top it off, we are the oldest team in the NHL. We would be the oldest team to win the cup in a very long time should that happen. And like a lot of these guys, we didn't play them all that much in the preseason, so I'm not surprised we've had a slow start at all. Our D needs fixing. Our PK will be fine. Our power play will definitely be fine. I'm not the least bit concerned, but our D is atrocious. Nurse has actually been a little bit better than last year, which pains me to say, but it's true. But past that, we have 3.5 NHL defensemen, and one of the options for that was Philip Broberg, and we let him walk. And he is a point per game defenseman in St. Louis through 6 games. He is. I'm not this. I read this stat on Friday. Today's Sunday. I'm not sure what happened in yesterday's game. Going into the weekend, he was one of 5 NHL defensemen who had played 4 games or more and played an average of 15 minutes or higher, who hadn't had a goal scored against him yet. And he had 6 points in 6 games. Dylan Holloway scored a beautiful through the legs in tight goal on Friday, Saturday.
From a beautiful setup play by Broberg.
On a beautiful play from Philip Broberg.
I just picked up Broberg in our
much.
auction league. I was just like, wow. If he keeps it up, he keeps it up.
You got him?
Yeah, I just snagged him on waivers. I was
very
surprised. I had Cam York, and he's okay. He's having an okay start to the year, but not Philip Broberg.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's one of those things where I'm not going to judge it until I see what we do with this cap space, which was so important to accrue. But at this point, we got a second and a third for those players. We probably can't get a player who's as good as Philip Broberg at the deadline, and it's going to cost us more than the second and third that we got for those 2 guys. I realize going into the season, it was a leap of faith to think that Broberg could be what he was in the playoffs, but clearly that leap of faith was justified. He's been so good in St. Louis. He looks so confident. Good for him. Fresh start. I'm happy for those guys. I hate it for my hockey team, and that move is going to set us back for a long time.
Yeah, it's too bad because, well, obviously it's hindsight at this point, but the value at $4 million for, even a number 5 defenseman that's young with a lot of upside still. It's just stretch yourself too thin and not taking care of your own guys first. I think that's the lesson to be learned there.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot this offseason, and especially in that week where we were waiting to see what the Oilers were going to do. I think at the time of the offer sheet, you could safely say that Broberg had number 3 potential. I think it would also be fair to say he might only be a number 5 this year. But that was kind of the floor for him, I think. And now it looks more like he could be a number 2. Like he just looks so good. Total mismanagement by the Oilers. And then an interview came out with Holloway where he said he was like, they weren't taking his calls when he was calling asking for $1.5 million. And then he reached out and said, heads up, like there's an offer sheet on the table and I'm going to sign it. And they just told him to take it. I don't understand it. I don't understand how a team like the Oilers, who has, at least 3 or 4 years left in this current push, how do you not value like the only players under 25 with talent on your team? Like, how does that happen? It's as an Oilers fan, I liked what Jeff Jackson did on free agency day. In hindsight, I don't like what he did. He left himself exposed. But I liked the balls to at least make some moves. Now knowing what was going on behind the scenes and that they're basically either letting these guys walk or just waiting for them to take $1 million contracts, I'm less encouraged by that. and I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that who's running this team right now. So we'll see. See where it goes.
Ultimately, I don't think that they thought offer sheet was on the table when they made those moves on July 1st.
But Holloway told him it was. Well, maybe not on July 1st, but yeah.
So like when they picked up Arvidsson and Skinner and all that, I don't know if Skinner was on the first or if it was a little bit after that or whatever. But just because it's been how long since an offer sheet has really been executed to a point where it's a relatively like low amount that isn't matched. That's the crazy thing about it. Those were reasonable offers for those players where they are in their development path and age and length of the contracts, and they weren't matched.
Yeah, I think that,
especially after making the CC trade. So you made that CC trade.
Yeah,
you freed up cap space to pick up either one, keep either one. But I guess at the end of it, you have to wait and see what they do with that cap space.
Yes.
Later in the season to fully judge the move.
For sure.
But
I mean, if they don't win a cup, it looks bad.
23-year-old defensemen that are going point per game in their first full season in the NHL, that's rough.
Yeah, man, it is rough. It's really rough. And yeah, Broberg's full stat line is he is playing 20 minutes a night, 7 blocks, 3 hits, shooting 14% right now. He's +6. Like, so it's so crazy. They traded, to answer the question about CC, they traded him so that they could start the season without Kane on the IR. So I get it. Again, the issue for me becomes, I'm curious what the team thought the likelihood was that those two would outperform whatever they'd be able to do at the trade deadline. Because at this point, it looks unlikely that we can get a Broberg and Holloway level players at the deadline, considering we don't have a first round pick this year. I mean, we'll see what happens with Savoy, but we're slower. We're not physical. We had 3 hits in the Dallas game. 3 hits. And you know who led our team in hits in the playoffs last year? Dylan Holloway. Like, I wonder how you look at the team that went to the Cup last year, and you look at what Broberg and Holloway brought, and they were very important players in those last 2 rounds. And how do you look at that and go, we don't need it? We don't need the youth. We don't need the speed. We don't need the physicality. And we don't need a D-man on this team? Like, come on. Anyways. There's your Oilers therapy session. Let's talk about Anaheim. Let's talk about Mintyukov and Zellweger. For the record, I believe Killorn right now is the forward who gets the most ice in Anaheim. So I'm not sure I agree with what's his coach's name? His name Cronin. I don't think I like what he's doing out there. But the other night against, was it the Denver game? In the last minute, they needed a goal. Zellweger was on the ice. Primary assist over to Terry. Tie the game. They lost in overtime. But Mintyukov is looking very good. He's shooting 100% right now. It's not sustainable. But their power play is over on the year with Minty on it. So I do wonder at what point, if any, to be fair, because Zellweger's been scratched a game or 2 here. At what point do they try Zellweger? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Minty is a stud, top pairing D. He's there. But if you're going to have Olin Zellweger on your team, there's one place to put him. There's one place to put him to maximize his use and help him reach his potential. And it's on the power play, let alone on the bench behind Jackson Lacombe.
Well, don't try to like Sam Girard him. And they don't have a Cale Makar there to force like a guy like Zellweger to be this 2-way puck moving offensive-ish defenseman. So I agree. He should be power play. I think you're looking at similar returns between him and Mintyukov running the power play once they get it in gear. But but it's just you can use Mintyukov in better situations otherwise. So I would still wager that he will be the guy for the power play there in the long term, unless they trade him. And we're talking like a similar caliber offensive defenseman. Like what Mintyukov did in his last year in the O before he got traded to, I think it was it the sixth, was it Oshawa or Ottawa? Where he's putting up 2 points a game. It's like similar to what Zellweger did in his last year in the Dub too. So they are similar players, but Zellweger doesn't necessarily have the same well-rounded game as Mintyukov. So either you trade him or you use him appropriately.
I was saying the same thing today. I think it's going to be a very telling year for what Anaheim wants to do with Zellweger, because he doesn't need time off the ice. He's not making bad plays. He's a very smart player. He's doing exactly what you kind of expect a player like that to do in year one. So either play him or trade him. If it's going to be Minty on power play one forever, then trade Zellweger. Like, there's lots of teams that would want that player. Utah comes to mind. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. And Anaheim has been. I'm jealous of the Ducks fans because I've watched 3 Ducks games the first week of the season. I watched 2 games a night every night. It was amazing.
It's tough because outside of like everything that I just said there, where it's like, well, you got to utilize the players, most effectively and all that. In my opinion, Mintyukov's a better defenseman at the NHL level. And so why would he not get rewarded? These guys still love power play one time, and they were raised as offensive players and everything like that. He would want to be rewarded. They still have that pride to be that power play one guy. So it's tricky. It's tricky to run a team like that where it's like, yeah, like you're a better player than him, but he's kind of just, that's his shtick, and that's the only thing he can't do the other stuff very well. So we're going to give him the fun offensive minutes. So it's tough. And I get their pros and all this and that, but these guys still carry that chip on their shoulder to like be the guy.
Well, and to be fair, they run the power plays fairly evenly as far as ice time. The first power play is Killorn, Strome, Terry, Mintyukov, Carlson. Listen to the second power play. McTavish, Zegras, Gauthier, Zellweger in the last game, and Vetrano. Like, I don't even care necessarily if it's PP1 at this point, but like, how are you not dressing this kid? Like, it's insane to me that Jackson, who's a fine player, but like, trade Cam Fowler. Like, why are you blocking a guy who could be a 70, 80 point power play guy or just an amazing trade chip? Why are you blocking that guy with Jackson, Lacombe, and Cam Fowler right now? Like, figure it out.
Anyways. It seems silly with Lacombe. I get holding on to Fowler because his value will get higher closer to the deadline, but just because of cap space. But oh well, whatever. Lacombe? No,
Lacombe.
Fowler.
Yeah, but why Jackson Lacombe had 17 points in 71 games last year.
Oh yeah, I was convinced that he was mostly a defensive defenseman. So I don't understand really at all why he would be stepping in over Zellweger, who is he is your upper echelon. He's one of the best junior offensive defensemen we've seen in the last while.
Yeah, I agree with that. Lacombe is an offensive guy. He was almost point per game as a defenseman in college his last 2 years. But yeah,
I was not aware.
All right, a couple more juniors we want to talk about. Just guys who caught our eyes early on, and feel free to throw down anyone here I'm missing. Michael Hage, who was drafted 21st overall, is off to a quick start in Michigan. His first 6 games, he has 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points out in Michigan.
Top line in Michigan too.
Top line in Michigan. Yeah, I mean he's looking like he could be that top 6 seed that Montreal is lacking for sure. Kevin He, who was drafted 109th in this past draft, is 2 points per game with Niagara, 9 goals, 9 assists. These are guys who really like you should be looking at them in your dynasty leagues, obviously. Sawyer Minio, I did not know who this guy was until a few weeks ago. He was drafted 89th in the 2023 draft. He's a point per game so far in the dub, and he was drafted primarily as a defensive defenseman, and then last year went for 53 points in 63 games, and this year he's got 3 goals, 6 assists in 8 games for Seattle. And then last, just a guy we will probably be talking about a whole lot for like 2.5 years, Landon Dupont. You were talking about him this summer during the U16s. He insane. His numbers are insane. 4 goals, 9 assists in his first 10 WHL games as the 15-year-old who doesn't turn 16 till May.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Nasty. The skills, but it's the way he thinks the game that's just the most remarkable part. Yeah. It's, and I didn't even know when we were listening to I was listening to Game Notes, and I guess he's Mickey Dupont's son, the guy who used to play in the show.
Mickey Dupont. I didn't know that either.
Dupont. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
congrats, Mickey. Your kid's going to make a pile more money than you ever dreamt of.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Unreal. Like, the kid's 1.3 points per game as a 15-year-old. What's he going to do in his draft year?
Well, he might finish because he's going to finish the year at like 1.5 points per game this year, probably. And then what does he do? 2 points a game next year? And
here's a question. And this is, it's early to say this. Is this the best draft prospect we've seen since McDavid? And that's assuming that McDavid was a better draft prospect than Bedard, which he might not have been. Who's the next guy you can compare to this? Because he's not Sean Day. He's not 6'5" at 15. He's 5'11", 180 pounds. He's thick, but he's not dominating this league because of his size. This is a kid who is dominating because he is elite at everything he does. He's got a crazy good shot. He's very smart. He's very good at moving the puck. He's a very good defender. Who do you compare to this kid as far as we're 3 years from his draft or 2.8 years from his draft? When was the last time we saw a guy like this doing this at this level?
Well, the guys that come, you name the 2 guys that come to mind for me. It's both Conors. It's McDavid and Bedard. I remember the first time I ever messaged you, like, hey, do you know who this Bedard kid the Pats drafted as a 15-year-old first overall? And then you're like, I think I've heard a couple things. Like, because he was playing in Sweden for a couple games during COVID, and just Swedish juniors. I think he was playing defense over there? Something like that. But, and then what Bedard did as a 15-year-old in the bubble, 2 points per game, and, went 2 points per game his whole career pretty much in the dub. I think you'll see that kind of output. When it comes to defensemen, that's a much harder question for a guy who's doing
the follow-up
that far out. That's the thing. Like,
I think about Dahlin. Like, Dahlin was pretty huge in his D-1 or D2.
Ekblad was highly touted, but more
Big.
of like this, like Chris Pronger-ish, like not an offensive dynamo type player.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I think this might be. It's. I'm sure it's outrageous to say it, and hopefully people correct me. But like, I can't think of the last time we saw a 15-year-old who looked like this on D.
Like Jay Bouwmeester was outstanding in the WHL when he was at 60.
That's a good one.
Yeah, he was. I played against him because we were born same birth year at a tournament when we were both 14. He torched that tournament, and he didn't get a hat trick against me. But and then when he was in Med Hat as a 16-year-old, just the way he could skate,
Yeah.
otherworldly.
Well, it's pretty exciting. This is a guy we're going to be keeping our eyes on. If you aren't a team that you think can win in the next 2 years, be tanking in 26 and 27. Be tanking. If you can come out of a dynasty league with McKenna and Dupont, you are set forever. You're set. You're good. I'm jealous of teams that are tanking. I should be tanking in maybe 1 or 2 leagues around that time. I might have to manipulate it to speed that up and just lose in all my leagues those years because it's looking just amazing. That's all I got, buddy. Happy Sunday. When do you hit the road for your trip again?
I'm gonna leave on Friday.
Shit.
Yeah.
So our next 2 to 4 episodes will be from hotel rooms, I'm sure, of the elite variety.
Yeah, totally.
All across America. Wild, man. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. It'd be fun.
So cool. So cool.
And I love how the hockey hacks are
Addie's
picking
going to be
up the
hanging out
bill.
in a hotel room during these awesome hockey games, but
I'll put it on the TV for her. She can watch
there you go.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And shout out to the hockey hacks that are paying the bill for the whole trip, for my scouting trip here. That's super kind.
I don't think the CRA listens to us. Are you going to try and write this off as a business expense, pal?
We'll see. If there was revenue to be made, then yes, we would take that. So
We might have to have that discussion with the hacks. Tell them to get going on those endorsements.
I could save some receipts. It's fine.
I think you should. All right, brother. Well, you and I will talk lots before you go, but I look forward to the next month of road shows.
Sounds good,
And
man.
until then, thanks for listening to us this week, and enjoy your hockey watching for the next week.
See you, everybody. Have a good week.